part of the world you are, good afternoon and namaste. My name is Ganesh Kohli, and I'm happy to be sharing some of my views and insights on the current state of affairs with career and college counseling and how we as institutions can play a role. Whether you're a high school colleague from a high school or from a university, or you are an organization, we'd love to interact over the next half hour and share some insights. I thought I would break this down into three parts here today. I'd want to begin with the problem or the challenge that we face, move on to a generic solution, and then move on to the roles that each one of us can play in becoming a part of this solution. So, what we face today in a large majority of schools here is a complete lack of advice for young people as they are looking to transition from high school to university. I won't call it gaps, there are holes, really. There aren't gaps, there are holes. And while a lot is done at university, where universities talk about transitioning to industry and now they help with placements, etc., high schools are preoccupied with ensuring that there is good academic preparation, there is some co-curricular work that happens, but a vast majority of institutions in Asia, in India in particular, but also in other parts of the region, do not have any concept of advising young people as they are transitioning out of high school. And this has had fairly tragic outcomes. Depression levels and stress levels are higher. Parents run helter-skelter to find advice. So there is a systemic failure in getting good information over to young people. And that is something that we're really looking at fixing. And I think we can all be part of the solution. But there's clearly a systemic failure. One of the biggest challenges that we do not even have the sensitivity to appreciate what a student needs through high school as he's transitioning through class 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in terms of guidance and preparation. And that is that is part of the solution. The solution is really threefold. If we need to fill these holes, like I said, not just gaps, we've got to sensitize, we've got to glamorize, and we've got to develop. And I'll explain the solution, this generic solution, a little bit more here. But we need to sensitize an entire community. I was with one of the best known high schools in the region just 4 days back. And the principal of the school would not even give 2 days for professional development in a year to the college counselor. And this is a school that is a so-called counseling office. But this counselor also teaches English, also does some administrative work, and if he or she needed to take time off for professional development, that would have to go from their personal leave that they would have to take. And this is a really well-known school. And that is the state of affairs. There isn't even the sensitivity that counselors need time to, to develop, help kids to develop professionally. So we've got to sensitize first on the need of this function, then on the need to give time to this individual and to have this be a full-time role. I would say just even the concept of career and college counseling is not understood. It was like online education when it first came in. You had to really sell the concept of online education before people signed up to take courses online. And we're pretty much at that point here with career and college counseling. So sensitizing is critical, glamorizing this profession so that, and not in a bad way. I mean, glamour is important so that enough people take on this profession, and we aren't getting enough people taking on career and college counseling in schools right now. So one of the things that we set ourselves a goal to do is also to get this profession into the limelight. And that's important. And then the third question is, the third part of the solution is developing. Even if a principal was sensitized, understood the criticality of this function, and was ready to hire a career and college counselor, there aren't enough people out there to hire. There are teachers and there are other delegates from within schools that need to be trained to act as career and college counselors to be able to deliver this job. So we've got to help develop. All of us can play a role in helping develop career and college counselors at high schools. So the solution is threefold: sensitizing, glamorizing, and developing. And as you have questions, I am happy to, if you can post your comments and questions in the chat box, I'd be ready to take some of those questions in just a bit. Now this is the solution. How do we do this? One of the other challenges has been that we've not really had an open forum. We've got too many platforms that are membership oriented, that need some fee or the other to access, and data isn't being freely shared. In an environment where schools do not even feel that it's important to have a career and college counselor, if we ask them for money to do anything, high schools cannot be asked to fund any professional development or activities around career and college counseling. They just don't get the necessity of this function, firstly, and where is the question of them then going ahead and funding any professional development? So if we really have to serve this community, we've got to have platforms that are open forum. The IC3 movement is a great example of an open forum. We need a Khan Academy kind of a platform for career and college counseling, and that's really what we're trying to accomplish through the IC3 movement. We've got 3 pieces going at this time, which costs little or nothing for high school delegates. There's no membership, and there is almost no cost to get involved with the platform. Okay, I'm going to come to the questions in just a bit. But what we're trying to accomplish here is we've had 3 activities that we've outlined that allow for the solution to come through. This is specifically with the IC3 movement. One is the developing part. So we've got the IC3 Institute running, which is a 1-year certificate program that high schools can do, full-time employees of high schools can do, and it costs zinch for them. It costs nothing. It's in collaboration with Ashoka University, Ahmedabad University, Shiv Nadar University, and OP Jindal University. They're all hosting 1 week on their campus each. And then you've got year-long training. And this is the pilot year where we'll have a cohort of 50 people graduate. And the idea is over a 15-year time frame to scale this to training 100,000 career and college counselors. We've got a total of 176,000 schools in this region that have no career and college counseling. So we're talking about developing people through a 1-year certificate program through the IC3 Institute that will have 4 weeks of residential training, year-long online training, and it will have a capstone project and other implementation pieces. All of us can be part of this solution by volunteering to teach, or signing up to take this program. The cost of the program is zinc. You'll be accommodated for 4 weeks at a university campus and have all the best people available in this area teach and deliver the program at no cost. So that takes care of developing people, and this is a systemic program, like I said, that we are working on, and this program actually begins this year. The website is IC3institute.com, so you can actually look at that. You can look at the curriculum, and 16th of September the program starts at Ashoka University this year, and the first cohort will graduate next year at the annual conference in August. We expect to do 500 school delegates next year, because this is the pilot year. We only have taking 50 people into the program. But next year, we will take 500 people into this program. These will all be full-time school employees. And then we expect to scale this to 3,000 people every year. Again, all the materials that we generate, we are an open forum platform, so everything is recorded and is put on a YouTube channel, which you can sign up to. You have videos from all the conferences and all the materials from the past. We also need to have sensitizing that's needed with a regional focus. So IC3 did 18 regional forums this year. We're doing 30 regional forums next year. We'll do most parts of India, but every place from New Zealand to Nepal, we have a regional forum. You've got 30 regional forums in tier 2, tier 3 cities, as well as the metro cities, not just the Hyderabad and the Chennais, or the Aucklands and the Kathmandus and the Colombos, but you've got Baramati, Trichy, Aurangabad. You can name a place, and we really worked on getting to where the schools are. We understand that not everybody will be able to travel to one large event. So the regional forums are a great way for all of us to come forward and contribute. You can present. All IC3 content is neutral, and we need people to put their hand up, volunteer, submit a session proposal, and present. You can volunteer as a faculty at the IC3 Institute. You can volunteer to present at the regional forum. So you can look at that. There's a brand new website that's under construction, and that will be up. We will announce all the dates and the venues for next year. These regional events will happen from January to May 2019. And then there is another activity, which is the annual conference, which allows for, which is the real glamorous event with 500 school delegates this year, between 450 and 500 school delegates, about 250 university delegates. We'd have this large event once a year, where again there are 100 scholarships for people to come, and there's an opportunity to network with a much larger mass of people. So those are some of the pieces that have become part of the solution with the IC3 movement. But there is a role that each one of us can play. If you're a university delegate, I encourage you to become a part of the solution by finding ways of engaging, by coming in and doing workshops and volunteering your time for some regional activities with the IC3 Institute. I would encourage, if you're a high school delegate, to take data from us. Request for information. Your principals need to be sensitized, and the way they will get sensitized is they will need hard data. The impact of not having career and college counseling is terrible for a lot of young people. There are statistics to show what happens when you have effective career and college counseling in school. You need one counselor per 120 students in high school from class 9 to 12. There's research that's done to show that that's the ratio. So if you have 500 students in high school from class 9 to 12, you should have 4 full-time career and college counselors. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to show them the value of this. As school leaders see the value of having this as a full-time function in school, they are more likely to allow for full-time people to do this. If there is a school building, there needs to be a career and college counselor. If there is, you don't outsource the principal's job. You know, we don't outsource math teacher's job. There is no way that we can outsource this critical function, because the career and college counselor is the GPS for the student that's going to give him or her direction. So this is something that you can help do. Garner data, watch some videos. We can share some of our research with you, and you can convince your school leadership to really invest in this function. I'm happy to look at a couple of questions if there are at this time, and allow for some time. Excuse me. So Anuja has a question. Would you prescribe aptitude tests as a direction to career counseling? If yes, at what level? Anuja, counseling is really, the way I interpret it, 3 areas of work. Students need answers to 3 questions: what to study, where to study, and how to make it happen. And they need these answers from class 9 onwards. As early as class 10, they need to decide whether science, humanities, or business. So what to study, where to study, and how to make it happen. And when you talk about aptitude testing, etc., it's working on one area, which is what to study. There are different positions that different people take about aptitude tests, but an aptitude test is just one tool in deciding what a student might study. I think the approach has to be much more holistic. Psychometric tests, aptitude tests, these are really tools, and as long as they're not 100% dependent on them and we rely on them absolutely to make all decisions on what to study, I think we're in good shape. They can, as long as they're used as one of the tools. The other tools would be experiential pieces of getting them to go out and interview a few people. I met a 26-year-old dentist once who said, I'm fed up of looking at ugly teeth for 5 years. Now, if this kid was made in high school to look at some teeth and look into people's mouth before he became a dentist, he probably would not be saying that at 26. So I think the experiential pieces, interviewing a lawyer, interviewing an artist, getting some experiential pieces together along with aptitude tests, along with a whole bunch of other things would help. So hopefully that answers your question, Anuja. Yeah, I'm sorry if Alexa, I believe you are having some difficulty. I'm going to look at Smita's question. She said, portfolio building is an important aspect for study abroad. How can this be done by high school children? My suspicion is you're talking about profile building in general, Smita. As long as it's not cosmetic. There's no point trying to do 40 activities to try and cosmetically spruce up a resume. Students need to be encouraged to follow their heart and do those 2 or 3 things that they really are passionate about. There is a whole industry around cosmetic profile building for college admissions, which is something that you want to resist. You really want to evaluate what the students' interests are, and it's not necessary to be broad. Depth is important with a couple of activities is what I would say, and it is my piece of advice. But again, career and college counseling is really not about people going to one country or leaving their home cities or their home countries. Career and college counseling is about helping them find answers on what, where, and how. Whether they study in their home country, in their home city, or they go abroad to study. This function when we say international career and college counseling, we are not encouraging people to all leave their home countries. We need to give advice to every kid, irrespective of what he studies, where he studies. We need to provide him or her with direction to do that. So I think this is an important point that we highlight, because particularly in India and some of the Asian countries, it appears that counseling is only needed for those who go abroad. Well, it's needed as much, probably even more, for those who stay back in their home countries. So that's an important point to remember. But I can see another question. Let's see, after Smita. So Vinay, to your question, this is a one-year certificate program that the IC3 Institute does, and all school delegates, full-time employees of schools can join this program. There is no financial liability whatsoever to join this program. You don't pay any fee. There's another question that was messaged. How could we? Okay, I got that one. I think I've covered that. How do you feel about independent counselors that are not attached to a school but advise students through the application process? I think they have served. Independent counselors have done great service. I have a high regard for them. At this time, unfortunately, IC3's focus has been to develop school-based counseling and to help full-time school employees. But you know, we do not permit independent counselors to get involved with IC3 activities yet. We are going to have a major meeting at this year's annual conference to discuss that. But our whole focus is on empowering schools to do it themselves. You know, even if the schools reach out to organizations outside for help, they don't get an outside principal to come and do their job. You know, they don't get an outside math teacher to come and do their job. They can't expect an independent counselor to look after 300, 400, 500 kids in a high school. And that's really not the path we are going. So while we respect and acknowledge the great work that some independent counselors do, our mandate really as an organization and as an institution is to empower high schools. We want them to have full-time employees within schools, and they can always seek out help from established professionals. All of these years, because we've had a systemic failure, we had a broken system where we did not have any career and college counseling, independent counselors have played an important role through these years. And I think they continue to play an important role. But we really need to find schools taking responsibility for this particular function. I hope that answers your question, Malvika. I noticed that was a question that came from you. Anuja has another question. When a student seeking guidance approaches you, what should our approach be? Should the information dissemination be done immediately? How can we be sure we are giving information about the right course? So one of the biggest skills with a counselor is not having answers. The fact is that most people, even principals, as they're hiring career and college counselors, they think that a good counselor is one who has all the answers. That's not a good counselor. A good counselor is, because there is no such person who has all the answers. There are 100 plus countries, 17,000 plus universities around the world. There are hundreds of different career possibilities. Jobs and careers are changing constantly. A good counselor is not one who claims to have all the answers. A good counselor is one who understands how to investigate and who knows how to get students, parents, teachers, all to collaborate and investigate. You know, my experience, and I did this for a very long time, was that we really are facilitators of this process. Instead of having absolute answers, for a lot of people, a counselor is someone who can fill up the Common App or the UCAS. I mean, that's not counseling. That is just administrative, procedural piece. A counselor is someone who can help holistically navigate the process, which means help find answers on what to study, where to study, and how to make things happen or how to apply, etc. But more importantly, someone who's humble and says, Let's find out. You want to study forensic science? Let's find out what university might be most appropriate for forensic science. Your father is not getting convinced about music as a career. Let's give him statistics. Let's investigate collectively and give him some statistics on the multi-billion-dollar music industry. Let's tell him that music is not just about performance, but about therapy as well. There's whole 40 different careers with music. Let's give him some examples of people who've pursued music as a degree and where they've ended up. Let's tell him what the horizon is for music as an industry over the next 40 years. Maybe then your father will allow you to pursue music. The fact is, a counselor's job is not to go out and investigate every country. You can actually, what we need is 40 minutes every week with 8th graders, 9th graders, 10th graders, 11th graders, 12th graders. 40 minutes where you bring in your parent body to speak to them. You put them on research projects to investigate. There is a lot, and we've got pedagogies here. IC3 is propagating the counseling laboratory. It's an entire pedagogy on how you approach this function, and you make a systemic change. In a way, every teacher in school will become a career and college counselor. They will contextualize how the economics that they teach is going to be relevant with the industry. Because the career and college counselor is kind of driving that ethos. It's a mindset counseling in school where every teacher in a way plays that role, but you need dedicated full-time career and college counselors that will help investigate universities, countries, career options, and so on. My apologies for taking a little bit longer to answer some of these questions. Smita has another question on, has 4 weeks of training on campus. How can full-time teachers take up this course? Full-time teachers need to get permission from their schools for these 4 weeks. You got to get your principal to buy into the idea of having you become full-time counselor. So we really need, career and college counseling is not a part-time job. It's a full-time job. And if you're passionate about this, if you're passionate about helping out, then you really need to go back, and you can go on the IC3 Institute website and look up some details where you can use materials to convince your school delegates. I don't want to get into a comparison between different educational systems here, but from where we come to know rankings of universities or other countries, or rankings of a particular core job potential at an international level. Okay, I think some of these are more procedural questions. So since we've reached the end of our time slot for this webinar, I would say, you can keep sending your questions on email and we'll be happy to answer. But I would urge all of you, whether you're a school delegate or a university delegate, to come become part of this movement. This is not about hosting one glamorous conference every year for us. We are looking at bringing systemic changes on the ground. So please come to the annual conference in Delhi if you can at August. If not, you are welcome to come to any one of the 30 regional forums that happen, or all of the 30 regional forums next year. You're also welcome, if you're a school delegate, to sign up and attend the year-long certificate program in career and college counseling. So with that, I want to thank you for being here today. The recording for this webinar will be available, and I hope to interact with many of you at different points over the next few weeks and months. Thank you very much for your presence. Thank you.